Welcome to more Finalizing the Bag. Yesterday we went over putters, approach discs, and mid-ranges. Check that out if you'd like. This is not an official in the bag because I'm going to wait until I actually get to Waco and play a tournament because it'll be at a different sea level. And this is really just finalizing the molds that I'm going to be working with this year, not necessarily the exact discs. And because of that, we are today going to be messing with our fairway drivers. I have these here that are in the bag right now. We'll see what ends up staying. There might be some slots that I need to add because for me, fairways are basically 7 to 10 speeds. I'm including control drivers in here, which are 9 and 10 speeds, and fairways are kind of 7 and 8 if you want to be really technical or nerdy about it, or maybe just wrong. I don't even know if that's right. That's just what I assume. But let's actually get out onto hole 1 here at Fairway Ranch. It's 355 up a hill. It's gonna be a slight headwind, so kind of a hole that I would throw fairways on. And all these on the right side and some at the bottom are fairway drivers. So good luck to me. If you don't watch yesterday's video or you're just interested, my kind of philosophy in building my bag as somebody who's sponsored by Infinite Discs, because they retail every single disc, I can choose from every single disc for all of my bag. I only need to bag 1 infinite mold, and spoiler, I've already bagged that in my putters and mids, and I want to bag more than 1 infinite mold because they're that good. So to me, building a bag is all about basically just committing to a bag. Because honestly, there are going to be so many discs that you'll see. Some of the discs that I threw last year, they're kind of overlapping with a lot of the discs that I threw here. Some of the discs that I throw here, there might be ones that are better for you because the hand feel is different and you prefer how it fits in your hand. Or frankly, they're biases. I am biased towards some companies because I have good relationships with them. They pay me, like there's opportunity to run signature discs through things. And so there's going to be discs that I choose that frankly they're all good, and there's a bunch of good discs that I'm not going to choose. But just because I'm bagging something doesn't mean that you should bag it. If you want to emulate your bag off of it and buy my discs, please feel free to. I would really appreciate the support. A disc being in my bag is an endorsement of the disc, but that doesn't mean it's like a best-in-class disc. I don't even know if there is that in any disc at all. So all that being said, we're going to start at 7 and 8 speeds because I kind of lump 7 and 8 together and then 9 and 10 together, kind of, even though you can start to see incremental differences between every speed of disc. And when I'm building a bag, I'm trying to think about flippy discs, so understable, neutral discs, so straight, where especially once you get up into the fairways, it's going to be important to find a fairway driver that is not really going to drift too hard and isn't going to fade too hard if you need like a tight tunnel shot, which for me, fairways, I'm kind of thinking about up to about 400 to maybe 410 feet, maybe a little longer if there's a different shape of the hole. Generally, that's kind of the distances that I'm thinking before I start to reach for my distance drivers. And I have gone through a lot of good 7 speeds. So we got 7 and 8 speeds here, 9 and 10 speeds scattered over there. And since they're both kind of in this fairway category or this kind of distance range of disc, I don't necessarily think that I need to have 6 of these fairways. I might have that and I might even have more, but having a understable, neutral, stable of both 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 speeds might be overkill, but it actually might be what you need, and that will a lot be course dependent. And so similar to how yesterday I was talking about with my putters and mids, I had a lot that I might not even be bagging for the year. It's gonna be the same here, but I want to have molds that I know I can work with, find discs within those molds that I like at different stabilities, so that if I'm not liking a mold as much and maybe there's some overlap between a couple, I can pick up a different one that I love, that I have worked with, that's not completely new to me. And so I will be looking at understable, neutral, and overstable-ish in 7 and 9 speeds, especially because as your arm speeds up, and this is what I've noticed just personally, anecdotally, I start to see more gaps between 7 and 8 speeds and 9 and 10 speeds versus when I was throwing a little bit shorter, maybe up to 380, 390 feet. I wasn't really noticing as much difference as I am now. So there's mainly 2 brands that we're going to be taking a look at. Well, I guess more than that. I guess 3 or 4 actually. The first one is going to be what I was bagging last year, which is the Birdie Disc Golf Supply Strike. This disc is very neutral. It started out pretty overstable for me, these ones, and then as my arm sped up throughout last year, they got flippier, and now they're pretty flippy. These color glow ones I didn't really throw all that much, but they were the overstable 7-speed, and I didn't really bag that last year as much because I really think I needed it. So now they kind of just pop up for me. Go in. We're gonna make one of these today. Right down there, pretty easy. This overstable one, slightly overstable. It's the Jacob Curtis Tour Series from last year. I can throw it flat to a touch of flex. It'll drift a little and finish. Basically the same exact spot. That disc is not even in the consideration for me to bag this year, mostly because there's not a lot of them available. I only have 4 or 5 left. I ended up giving a lot of them away. I ended up losing some of them, and there's not a lot of them available, and I don't know when they'll be run next, and I don't think it'll be a while, if they even are, because I do have contacts over at Birdie Disc Golf Supply, so I know kind of when stuff is going to be happening. And again, they were just discs that fit really well in my hand, and I really liked them, but one that was very similar, that I was really excited when Ledgestone reached out and sent it to me, was the Discraft Athena. Paul Macbeth's disc This disc is really sweet, very similar. This is a little flatter, a little blunter, and feels slightly smaller and more compact in my hand. And I really like it. It flies kind of like that collar glow strike. Maybe slightly more overstable, but just like straight when you throw it flat with a little fade. Parked it. And honestly, I can see myself bagging that disc or the strike, but there are some discs that are from Infinite that fly very similarly. I think I totally forgot to bring one out, which I guess will tell you that it's not going in the bag, but it's the Infinite Disc Exodus. I only have one. It's a Halo one. It feels good, it flies good, and it's very similar to the Strike and to that Athena. But one that's kind of on that side, but a little more understable, is the Infinite Discs Centurion. These are some Halo Centurions. I also have some Iblin Centurions and a gummy Centurion, which is not going to be in the bag because it's just a little extra gummy, and that doesn't really fall out of the hand super easily. I like it, and I would throw it a lot for fun, but probably not for my bag. And then this Swirly S blend, which these all fly relatively similar, but are on kind of the hyzer flip side. And kind of surprisingly, I have small hands. I call myself baby hands a lot, but these are like very small in my hand. I think it's a leopard on the bottom and an FD on the top, and so they fit pretty tiny in my hands, which is almost like too small, but I think I can still throw them well. So I'll show you a couple of the differences, and this is a disc that I will be bagging on the understable side. I'm not sure which of these I'll bag, which plastic, we'll still figure that out, but I'm gonna be working with this mold. I have a lot of them, and I really like it. And for like those kind of just like flip up, dead straight pushing hyzers, it's kind of perfect. Just like that, a little drift, and that's where it's a little too much drift to the right out of the box, because that one's like 2 days old. If you wanna see even more drift, take a look at these Swirly S blend. Flip up even more and drift even more. Wow. That's the one that I think I might actually have in the bag. I remember James Proctor was talking about, he did actually this run of Halo, which I have one that's really flippy, and then the new ones that I got are not as flippy as this old one. So maybe there's a couple different runs. They didn't have his stamp on them. These Iblin ones are kind of in between those two, but this year I think he's running the Swirly S blend, which I'm really excited for because it's flip up and just turn forever disc. But I don't think these get overstable enough to fill both the flippy and the neutral slot, even in the multitude of plastics. Here's the iBlend. Wow. Wow, that one might actually be flippier than the other one. Holy cow. I do like iBlend a lot too, but you gotta support the proctologist, you know? And the gummy C blend, which is a little more overstable. Maybe not. I mean, this is a headwind, so flips up a lot. One disc for the straight side of things that I was pretty intrigued about throwing is this FD. The Discmania FD is just so good. In C-line, it's very straight. It can flip a little. It can be a turnover disc, but it's very point and shoot and a really solid mold. Very straight and neutral. Basically, the line you put it on, it's gonna go on that line. But the FD's not going in the bag. Very similar to the Athena, very similar to the Strike. It is super solid. And a disc that I wasn't sure if I was gonna like or not, because it had some baggage attached to it, is a disc from a company that I love, who loves me, Finish Line Disc. Shout out Drew Gibson and Marcus. They're friends of mine who own this company. And this is the Rally. It's retooled. This is the new glow plastic. It's actually coming out here pretty soon, I believe. And it is an 8-speed. And I thought it was going to be really overstable because the old one was retooled to be pretty overstable. It is gummy, but not as gummy as the Centurion. And so you're going to see it's going to fly very similar to that FD, but maybe a little more push and a lot of glide to be pretty neutral. Oh, it flipped more. I threw it way more driven into that headwind instead of hyzery. But it kind of held up. Didn't really drift too hard and finished a little bit. I'm gonna be working with that, but I think it's gonna be the Centurion and that disc for a neutral slot. I'm still not sure if I'm in love with it yet. I just am throwing it today, and I really like it, and I really like Drew, and it kind of fits in between slot between the Centurion and the next disc that we're gonna talk about. And so I'm gonna be playing around a little bit more with this retooled version of the Rally. I'm gonna throw it against the FD one more time. Another Finish Line mold, which is the new composite Torx. I don't think I have any of the old Torx anymore. They're very overstable, and these are all very, very, very domey. A little domier than I like for a very overstable disc, and this even isn't quite that very overstable disc. It's a little straighter than I honestly expected it to be, which I've heard they're straighter than the Forged, which is the first run Torx. And these are just like if I flex it, it just kind of rides way longer on that flex than I anticipated. I didn't even turn it that much. That was closer to flat than to Anheuser as I like. And this one I'll try to flex a little more. And I flex it less, but it still just kind of picks up and drifts, which is fine. But the disc that I had on the shelf that I picked up again, just to see if I'd love it, and I like the plastic, I like the dome, I like the stiffness off the bat, is the Discmania FD1. This disc, the C-line one specifically, is kind of flat, a little touch of dome, which is a good amount of dome. Very stiff, which I like. Feels four-handable, 7402. But the beef on these guys is really, really nice. And Discmania kind of already set me out back up, so if you know where this is going to go in the back. Where compared to that, I'm gonna flex it a lot more, and you're gonna see it's gonna bite so much more. I did flex it more, but I thought it'd bite a little harder. There you go. You can see the overstability there. Now the FD1 in these C-lines has come out very overstable, which with this like stiffness of the plastic, I kind of really love. It's not as overstable as compared to the torque as I thought, but it definitely is those couple legs up. And with the combined more comfortable grip, more preferred plastic, and preferred flight, the FD1s are definitely going in the bag. The Rally kind of be in there as a little bit of a placeholder of a mold that I want to work with from Finish Line. We have these other FD1s as well. Since it's a comfortable mold, the Skywalker is very straight, as well as the Rage Stone. They fly much more like that neutral 7-speed, so I'm gonna go snag the FD, the Rally, and then these, and we'll see how they all fly against one another. For my 7 and 8 speeds, I think it's gonna end up being Centurion on the understable end, Rally on kind of the neutral end, which I think I can beat in to be pretty understable, and I can find some of those older ones to be very overstable, and the FD1 for my overstable 7-speed. Where this type of FD1 might fight for the Rally slot, just depending on how much I actually like the Rally as I continue to work with it more. But I kind of brought it out here to be like, okay, I'll test it for you, Drew, whatever, no promises. And I ended up liking it significantly more than I thought, because that was a headwind. You saw it on the little hyzer popped up and just rode dead straight. With no wind, if you throw it flat, it just kind of is a rope a little bit. Maybe a little drift, maybe a little fade, but it was much more straight than I anticipated, and I liked it more than I wanted to be honest with you. All right, so for reference, remember what these C-line FD1s fly like? Nice and beefy. You can rip them on some man, you really trust them. Now we're gonna take a look at what the FD1 Skywalker, the Horizon, looks like, which when they're flat, it's gonna drift. Basically exactly what I said. Didn't really turn, but it drifted. Now this Lux Vapor guy flips up. Oh, not really. Good, I was wrong. Okay, kind of very similar to the Horizon. Now we're gonna look at the FD versus the Rally. Slight hyzer, I mean, not flat, what am I talking about? But like, so point and shoot, look at that. Skipped at the pole. This one might flip up a little bit more than that, but it also might finish a little more than that. Oh, yeah. Dead straight. Go in. Oh, I don't know what you want from me. That's just good. FD is super solid, really good mold. I think I'm gonna be throwing the Rally though. Support my guys. I'm just gonna ace with the FD1 real fast and then we'll get into 9 and 10 speeds. Wow, that is a beefy boy. I took that out again, and as I've added some distance, I'm like, holy crap, this handles so much good torque. That being said, let's move on to the 9 and 10 speeds, and I'm gonna flip this upside down so that we can work from the bottom up. Some of these, we're just gonna talk about why I'm bagging them, because they're really good. The first one of those is gonna be the Sphinx from Infinite Discs. This disc, I love. It might be my favorite, if not my second favorite mold in the Infinite lineup. It's got numbers like a Heat, supposedly very flippy, but I'm gonna throw it into a headwind, and you'll see, like, you can finesse this thing and finesse it very far. Like, this is a late woodsy turnover disc. I have these ones, I have some Halo ones. These are in the bag just because they're metal flake, and then this one's a taco one, so it's a lot of fun. I actually brought it for a video for Infinite's channel that I'm filming. It'll got a lot of use as both a roller and an airshot disc, I believe. That's going in the bag. Moving up, Dynasties. The Dynasty, if you guys remember, I actually filmed a video last year of Dynasty versus C-Line CD1, and the CD1 actually won. It had a little more stability, maybe pushed a little farther at the time, I don't quite remember, but this C-Line Discmania plastic is really good, and I love this disc, but I'm sponsored by Infinite now, and the Dynasty is the CD2 mold, and that was going after the CD2 mold. And the more different plastics I've gotten to throw this in, because I think I only had the I-blend when I was doing that video, the more I've just loved it. I have an S-blend one, I have C-blend, I have I-blend, I have this Eric Oakley Halo one, which I think is gonna get a lot of use in Texas, and then from my favorite ones, I have some Metal Flake Color Glow. This one, as you can see, is kind of a special run on my Bonanza stamp with the Infinite Bomber. These were just for Infinite VIP Club members for the first 2 weeks, but that time period is up. So if you want to go ahead and check out my storefront on Infinite, I'll leave it linked down below. We have these that are going to go live now, and then a lot of really, really fun stamps coming, especially for Texas. Gosh, I can't wait to show you what that was. So go check the storefront if you'd like. These are the ones that are in the bag now, because they're just like nice flip up, a step up from the Sphinx. And the difference between 7 and 9 speeds for me is a little bit more left to right play. They get slightly more distance. They're slightly easier to get that distance, especially with the flippier ones. You can just kind of pop them out there and they'll ride and do their thing, but they'll also move more right and back more left. I can see, definitely see a spot for the Sphinx, and then the Dynasty, which is kind of my hyzer 9-speed. Still on the 9-speed, we are gonna actually look at a couple more discs right here, all these guys, which is gonna start with Latitude 64 Honor. This is what I threw last year in my Thunderbird slot. I don't actually have this slot, I don't think, in 9-speed anymore. It's moved up a bit, but I can also kind of replicate it with this scepter. It's a Seablend scepter. I have some Seablend and some Halos that are from some runs that Joel Freeman gave me, and then these Seablend ones are just like pretty straight. Push on some hyzers, but still get a lot of fade, but not fade early. And so this is a disc, I don't know if it's gonna be in my bag very much, but for like a forehand hyzer that pushes and still finishes, it might be there, because it's not really gonna flip on me on my forehand. So there's a spot for this stability of scepter, which honestly very closely mirrors this red Firebird that I had. This was in the bag all of last season. Firebirds feel good. Scepter feels like Firebird, probably because it's a Firebird mold, I think. I've heard flat Firebird, I don't really know, but it feels really good. And I have a flat top Firebird here. I never really threw that much, and I think it's because I didn't trust it all that much, or just like it all that much. And maybe I wasn't throwing hard enough. Maybe I just didn't like how flat it was. And so that kind of slot is gonna be taken over by these kind of discs. This is an infinite disc Halo Scepter, which they sent me some beefy boys. It's way more overstable than my Seablend, as you'll see here. Flies nice, I can really torque it on the anhyzer and trust it's not really gonna glide on the anhyzer, it's gonna fight it the whole time. But for even a slight step up from that, I have Captain's Raptors. These are going in the bag. I like these because of the shape. They have like a nice, they're not quite like the Firebird shape here. They have, actually it's kind of pretty similar, but something about it is just a little different. Maybe it feels a little wider in my hand. I really like how it feels. They sent me out ESP and Z and the new Jawbreaker Z Flex, and right now this is what's in my bag, the Jawbreaker Z Flex. It can skip a little, but I kind of like it for the not skipping backhands, and maybe something like this Stable Scepter for the skippy one. I'm going to be working with these and with these, figuring out which ones I want for my bag at which times, and having a bag of discs that I can choose from at any time, that I know what they do, how they're going to fly, and which slots of stability I'll need based on how my game is feeling or what I'm liking to throw that week, hyzers, anhyzers, etc. So for my 9 speeds, it's going to end up being Sphinx, Dynasty, Scepter, Cap Wrap, and that's that. But we also have 10 speeds this year, which we didn't mess with at all last year. So in the same way that the Dynasty was kind of my hyzer backhand disc. Oh, that's so good. Hyzer to straight. Oh, jeez. You can probably already guess what my flat to anhyzer backhand disc is going to be in the 9 to 10 speeds. Can also throw it on hyzers, obviously. I'll just get more left, and that's totally fine. But a couple honorable mentions. One that I don't know even if it's honorable yet or not, because I haven't thrown it before, but one is the Aztec. A lot of you guys love the Aztec. You tell me to throw the Aztec, so I'll ace this iBlend Aztec for you. Just starts out a little too flippy. It's like a Dynasty, maybe goes a little farther, but I prefer the Dynasty in my hand. Feels good. Oh no, it's flippier than I expected. I mean, it's very similar to the Dynasties. Just gets down there. Very easy, like that's where 10 speeds are great, is you have that. The other one, I've never thrown before, or at least not in a while. This is an Era. This is the new Radiant Forged Era. It actually feels very good. I don't think it's gonna have a spot, but again, just like we talked about yesterday, my bag this year is gonna be much less dogmatic. I feel like I can add this in and out if I need to. It's gonna take a lot for that to happen, but like everything that we see here is more than likely going to be the case for the whole year. But it might not be, and that's okay. The Era is one that, very similar to the Rally. I like the guys who put it out. I'd have to be very impressed with this one throw that I'm getting right here. If it aces, it's going to the bag. Oh! Thought it was a little more overstable than that, but that's really good. I mean, it goes far. That's sweet. Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with that disc. That being said, you guys know where it's gonna be. It's the Romans. I love Romans so much. We have a Halo one here, which tends to be slightly more overstable, and then some Swirly S-Blend, which is kind of my baby Roman. They just are so good. I can throw them. They just glide forever. They have that late hookup. They are 10 speed, so a little more overstable. If you like old Discmania PDs, you're gonna love a Roman. Just goes dead straight on an anhyzer, and then goes in the basket. Oh, not even close, am I? Throw these ones. These are actually Domi runs. Some of them say Ronin on the bottom. They're Romans. The name was maybe supposed to be Ronin, and then it got changed. So if you have a Ronin embossed one, I think they tend to be slightly more understable than these and a little flatter. These Roman embossed ones have a little, not quite pop top, but dome. That's just a beautiful flight. I mean, 6 inches. I love that disc. This one might just like go in the bag because how beautiful it is. I don't know if I need the Halo and this, especially having the Scepters, especially as that Halo, I've thrown it a lot. I've thrown it into a lot of trees, but this one, I'll just kind of show you. I'll try to I'll try to throw it over the tree that's to the left of the basket because they just want to bomb. Hey, we did something we were trying to do. I mean that, I'll UDIS get and show you on screen how far UDIS says. We're slightly uphill into a slight head left to right. Like, these just go. They have replaced some of the need for distance drivers, which we'll get to tomorrow. So moving up from 7 to 10 speeds, we're gonna have Centurions, Rallies, FD1, Sphinx, Dynasty, Scepter, Caprap, Roman. I'll probably throw that arrow around a little bit and maybe throw it a little bit with Drew. Probably won't go in the bag because I love my Romans and I love my Dynasties. But maybe I'll like the arrow more than the Dynasty at the 10 versus 9 speed eventually. But for now, it's definitely gonna be these Dynasties because they're so good. And I'll leave you with one last throw with them before I see you guys tomorrow. Please ace it, buddy. Oh, too much. Aren't you guys happy I can throw Annies now? I sure am. Thanks for watching. You guys are the best. I'll see you soon.